Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Vintage Cube draft. Now, there's a few different picks in this pack. I could take Mind's Desire and try and B-Storm. I could take Coalition Relic, because Coalition Relic is a very good ramp card. There's Ancient Tomb, which fits into a lot of decks very nicely, is very powerful. It's probably the pick that keeps us the most open, maybe other than Coalition Relic, though Coalition Relic goes into a smaller subset of decks. There's also Rishadan Port. I think we gotta take Tomb, because like Tomb's really good if you can like accelerate in mono red or mono white, that sort of a thing. I imagine it's also good in the Tinker deck. I did just pass a bunch of good artifacts, but I mean it's Tinker, so I'm gonna take Tinker. So we'll just look for a few different mana rocks and then maybe a Blightsteel, Inkwell Leviathan. I have settled for a Wormcoil Engine before. Sundering Titan would be good. Any of those things. Alright, I like Grim Monolith a lot. Mana Leak is also good, but we're going to need artifacts if we want this deck to actually work. Coercive Portal is very strong, but the artifact ramp is in theory stronger because you can do stuff earlier, so we'll take Grim Monolith. Alright, now, it wants me to take Questing Beast. I don't think that's accurate. Sphinx of the Steel Wind is actually a reasonable Tinker target. It's pretty good versus like the burn deck. There's also a Phyrexian Revoker, which can be good. We can play it on turn 1 off of Ancient Tomb, but I think I'm going to go with the Sphinx. Alright, Inkwell Leviathan. In theory, Inkwell Leviathan comes around, and we should be taking the Signet, because this goes in less decks. But if we miss Inkwell, we're stuck with only Sphinx and hopefully a Blightsteel, but we gotta get the artifact mana. I like Underground Sea. It helps us cast Tinker. We technically would have all the fixing we need to hard cast a Sphinx. It wouldn't be super brilliant, but it is possible. There's Blightsteel. Tinker Blightsteel first pack, let's go. Alright. Forge Master is another Tinker. So Forge Master it is. Metalworker. I'll take a Metalworker. Big artifacts. That's what we're doing. Hopefully backed up with maybe some blue disruption. I could take Ravages of War. I could also take Seachrome Coast. Seachrome Coast is probably more reasonable. Yeah, I think I'll take Seachrome Coast. Tide Hollow Sculler is not really what you play in the artifact deck, but now the only way the deck gets better is if we start getting like really broken mana artifacts like Soul Ring, Mana Vault, Mana Crypt, that kind of a thing. I will take a Winter Orb. I don't know if I'm actually going to play it, but I will take it. I've never had much success with this card in Vintage Cube. It's one of those cards that's always struck me as a very powerful effect, but one that you frequently don't want in Vintage Cube. And I'm sure you can make it work, and it's probably like, you know, if you've got Smokestack and you're doing a bunch of artifact shenanigans, it's probably worth playing, but I just tend not to get a deck that fits into that description, so I'll take Disenchant because I actually have the fixing to cast it, and it could matter. Alright, Inkwell came around. We lose Mishra's Factory, but we got Inkwell. Since I've got Esper fixing, I'll probably take a Vindicate. Not sure I'm playing any reanimation spells here, but none of Winds of Abandon. Okay, so with the exception of maybe Winter Orb, I could play literally every single card in my opening pack. That's awesome. I'm gonna take Mishra's Workshop. The effect is really powerful. And it's one of the only ways that you can actually make Metalworker work, is if you just turn 1 Workshop Metalworker. I like Demonic Tutor, but we're going to go for highest power level. We've missed out on Dimir Signet and Coalition Relic, so we're not going to be getting those, unfortunately. But I'm basically going to take every single mana rock that I can find. There was some consideration for maybe taking Time Spiral there, but I don't think that was accurate. I like Solemn Simulacrum. Alternatively, we could take Counterspell. The only reason that I'm not, like, super excited to take Counterspell is it might be kind of hard to cast. We can center on whatever color we want. You know, we got... We're going to be doing a lot of tapping out on turn 1 and 2. I think I just take Solemn Simulacrum, and we're just going to go... We're going to go super heavy. Alright, there's a Signet in this pack, so I'm going to take it. Even if it is off color. I would not mind having a Spell Pierce, or really a Polluted Delta, but I think we have to prioritize the artifacts. They go relatively quickly. It's pretty common to play a Signet in just like even if it's only single on color. Especially in non-green colors of Signet, because it adds a little bit of ramp and color fixing to decks that otherwise wouldn't have it. So, alright, there's a Flooded Strand. If I'm actually playing Esper, Flooded Strand helps get black with Underground Sea. It does some nice fixing for us. There's a Frantic Search, Frost Titan. Yeah, I'm just going to take the fixing. We don't have enough creatures to wield Sword, and I think we should shy away from double colored stuff until we get enough fixing that it's comfortable. Force of Will, Memory Jar, Inquisition, also Midian. I can take Force. The only problem is we're probably not going to have enough blue cards to pitch to it. Inquisition is a much more reasonable card, because like we can just like Flooded Strand, Underground Sea, and then Inquisition turn 1. I think Inquisition is actually better, so I'm going to take Inquisition here. Lodestone Golem. I like Lodestone Golem. It's kind of like a Thalia in our deck, because we can just like turn 1 Ancient Tomb Signet, turn 2 land Lodestone, just a lot bigger than Thalia. I can take Trinket Mage. We don't have any of the really broken 1-mana artifacts, so this would be pure speculation if I did. But my alternative is taking something like Ophiomancer. I'll take Trinket Mage, but I'm probably not running that card. Smokestack. There's also High Tide. If I center on blue, I can take High Tide and just use that to ramp out large artifact things. But Smokestack is so much fun, and I don't get to play this card nearly often enough. So I'm taking Smokestack. And by fun, I mean fun for me, not for my opponent. There's a Scrubland, which Flooded Strand can get. It makes our mana a lot better if we are splashing white or black. Otherwise, I'm passing up Academy Ruins. I think I take the Scrubland. Alright, Kaya I can play. Murderous Rider is a lot harder to cast, but I think it might be better. Yeah, I'm going to go with Kaya. I think staying away from double converted mana cost colored cards is probably where I should be. I'll take an Oust. Frantic Search gives us a way to like loot away Blightsteel if we draw it. Also, we can like do something crazy like untap Ancient Tomb Mishra's Workshop. I don't know if that's good, but it sounds cool, so I'm going to take it. Recurring Nightmare is incredibly powerful, but I don't think we play Recurring Nightmare, just because we're probably not actually playing Reanimator. 1000-Year Storm is fun, but this is not a 1000-Year Storm deck. I'll take Shriekmaw. And a Bloodbraid Elf for the side. Alright, show me a Soul Ring. I mean, Mox Ruby counts. I'll take a Mox Ruby. No complaints there. What am I missing in this pack? Some fetches for on-color stuff. This is not a Bob deck. Ulamog would be nice. Looting probably isn't bad. We'll take an off-color Mox. Ooh. Let's see. Signet. There's a Mind Twist. I gotta take Mind Twist, right? Because, like, we just have a lot of artifact ramp. So we just like turn 2 or turn 3 Mind Twist their whole hand away, and that generally wins the game. There's also a Shark Typhoon, but this is a blue Signet. There's no way Mind Twist comes around, though. Yeah, I'm going to take Mind Twist just because it's absurdly broken strong. There's a Chrome Mox, but Chrome Mox is really bad when you don't have a lot of colored permanents. Dak Faden, we're not playing red, so unfortunately no Dak Faden. I think we take Thoughtseize here. There's an argument for Mindslaver, Wormcoil, or even Dark Ritual, because like Dark Ritual makes Mind Twist better. But Thoughtseize makes our deck more consistent. We have Inquisition already. Yeah, I think we take the Hand Hate. It's really powerful. So at this point, we're basically a black deck, like a black-white deck, splashing blue for Tinker and a threat, maybe. I can play Trinket Mage now that I do have a Mox, but I really would like to play him only if I had, you know, multiple cheap mana artifacts. Or like Tolarian Academy or something. So I could take Lotus Petal in case I do get Academy. I could take Imperial Seal as that's a way to like find Tinker or, you know, something crazy. Creeping Tar Pit is fixing. I'm going to take Lotus Petal because it synergizes with Mind Twist. It synergizes with Trinket Mage. It could help us play like an early 2-mana artifact. Even if it just ends up sitting on board most of the time. So now we have Phyrexian Metamorph or Basalt Monolith. I don't know which one of these cards would get played higher up in an off-color deck. I think we take Metamorph and hope Basalt Monolith wheels. Because, like, Metamorph can be, like, a second Lodestone Golem. It'd be really funny if, like, we Metamorphed a Blightsteel just for, you know, rub-in. We can, like, make a copy of Grim Monolith using Grim Monolith, and then spend our next couple of turns untapping our mana. Alright, definitely taking Izzet Signet, because I don't have quite enough mana artifacts yet. Kind of hope Rakdos Return wheels. It's sort of like another Mind Twist effect, except Mind Twist has the ability of still being backbreaking even if you don't Mind Twist their entire hand, because the cards are randomly selected rather than chosen by the opponent, which is the case with Rakdos Return. Also, I probably should have taken... No, never mind. It was Mind Twist or Simic Signet. It's important to have blue signets because Tinker. You want to be able to cast your Tinker. So there's a Steam Vents. We don't need to splash red for anything, though. There's a Dark Petition, which would very rarely give us mana back. And there's a Baleful Strix. Baleful Strix technically on color and theme, so I'm going to go with Baleful Strix. I think we missed, like, 2 or 3 mana artifacts that maybe we needed to take. There's a Sundering Titan. I could play Thalia. It wouldn't necessarily be bad, but it wouldn't be great either, because it would increase the cost of all of our stuff, where Lodestone Golem really doesn't. I think I take Sundering Titan and we'll just max out on gigantic artifact threats. Nahiri was sort of a reasonable pick there, because we could just go get Blightsteel and one-shot our opponent. And if I had like any more red fixing than just a Mox Ruby and a Lotus Petal, I would probably have gone that route. It's never bad to have like a big Eldrazi. Kind of protects you from brain freeze and stuff. I don't think this is an Ancestral Visions deck, and I could actually see myself playing Blast Zone, because we don't have a lot of 1-mana... We have no 1-mana permanents. But we'll take Ulamog. Let's see. If I get rid of Baleful Strix... No, I gotta cut too many things for Oath of Druids. I could make this an Oath of Druids deck, but we have no fixing for it. I guess I'll take... I could take Maze of Ith. I want to take Liliana's Triumph and put it in the sideboard as additional removal. I don't actually want Wormcoil Engine. I have enough big beat sticks, and Wormcoil Engine's kind of meh in Vintage Cube, I think. Dark Ritual, however, coming all the way around the table is great. Hero's Downfall, I would play on the side. So there's no Basalt Monolith. Somebody took it. I'm not playing any of these cards. I don't think I would play Bazaar. Put an Ancient Grudge in the sideboard, and Agadine the Undercrypt. Alright. So I am going to play all of these lands, and I'll count Mox Ruby as a land. I think I count Lotus Petal as a spell. Okay, so we have Oust, Winds of Abandon. So I think I'm going to make white the splash color, just based on what I'm seeing here, because I don't really want to cut any of these cards. We might have to cut Smokestack, as we don't really have enough artifacts to make it super good. Maybe not. Yeah, I'm going to play Smokestack. I rarely ever get to play Smokestack. I think I'm going to cut Sphinx unless I'm against aggro, then I can bring it in. I'm going to cut Oust. I'll keep Winds of Abandon, as it has, like, board wipe mode. Since I have Smokestack, I'll play Winter Orb. Kaya, Vindicate. Vindicate is good. Kaya is situational. How much removal do I have? I have enough if you count all 3 colors. I know that for a fact, especially because we have Oust, Triumph, Downfall. Like, I could just load up on removal. I think I'm going to cut Shriekmaw. Frantic Search seems a little ambitious. Kuldotha Forgemaster might actually not be that great. Let's see. No, I like having the redundant Tinker effect. I think I'll keep it. Baleful Strix seems really hard, possibly, to cast. It's just a really good, like, Stonewall for, like, the early game. You just take out your opponent's best creature and you get to cantrip at the same time. Well, best creature that they're willing to attack with, anyway. Trinket Mage gets exactly Mox Lotus Petal. I think Trinket Mage is not worth it. Man, now I'm just seeing, like, turn 1, Swamp, Mox, Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual, Grim Monolith, Mind Twist. That's what I want to happen this game. Sometime during this league, I want that to happen. Let's see. I'm gonna cut Kaya. Like, we can really, really change how this deck works by just bringing in all of our black and white cards. Cutting cards that are bad against a particular kind of strategy. Okay, we'll bring all these in. Then we add basic lands. 4 swamps, 3 islands, 2 plains. That seems reasonable to me. Cool. And we'll play Mox Ruby is effectively a land here. So, alright, well, I'll see you guys in round 1. Alrighty. Game 1, we are on the play. We have Inquisition into Tinker Vindicate, so I'm actually willing to keep this. We just need to draw any artifact and we can go get Blightsteel. And we can lead on some disruptions. We know what's going on. Opponent has Remand and Impulse. Well, take Remand, Because remanding a Tinker is pretty good. Opponent has a Shriekmaw, worth noting. They start Misty. They crack Misty. Island, they drew Ponder. Alright. So they appear to be like blue-black control. We untap. Draw Lodestone Golem. Play Flooded Strand, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Bloodstained Mire, cracks it. Gets a Swamp. And plays a Looter Eel Core. Crack Flooded Strand. Get an island. That was wrong. I needed a plains. I wanted to Vindicate this turn. And redeemed. Vindicate. Blow up the island. Pass the turn. Next turn we can play Lodestone. Thank you, Seachrome Coast, for saving me from my sleep delirious punts. For anyone watching, that was absolutely calculated. I meant to do that. Never didn't always have the white source for Vindicate. Opponent loots away a swamp. They do draw an island, so they have Impulse mana now. We draw a Scrubland, so play an Underground Sea. Here comes the Lodestone Golem. This is a terror, right? A non-artifact, non-black creature. Okay, so opponent impulses. We just need to draw a mana rock, and we can tinker for Blightsteel and probably be in the clear. Alright, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They go to combat. They loot first, discarding Shriekmaw. Alright. So we know they're holding a swamp out of the 6 cards they have in hand. They play a swamp. They pass. We untap. We draw Sundering Titan, which is hilarious with the board that we have, mind you. Go to combat. Attack for 5. See if anything happens. It doesn't. Well, I think it's time. Tinker. I could get Smokestack. That'd be funny. But let's try and win the game, shall we? Oh, somehow I knew. Somehow I knew that was going to happen. Alright. Well, let's start drawing Artifact Ramp. We have no, like, way to get through our deck faster. Like, no card advantage at all. So... Alright, opponent plays Ophiomancer. We untap. They get a Snake. We draw a Smokestack, which is now really bad. I'm gonna play it because my opponent's tapped out, but I think I'm not gonna tick it up. I'm just gonna leave it on 0. Because of the Snake, basically. Because of the Ophiomancer. They play Freebooter, they take nothing. So this was kind of my fear. Keeping that hand with Tinker and no artifacts is that we weren't gonna draw anything for a very long time. And that seems to be the case. So we untap. I will not put a counter on Smokestack. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna concede. We don't have any board wipes or ways to catch back up on board. Let's see. So I'll bring in... Do I want removal? Kaya seems like she might be good against my opponent's deck. The question is, what would I take out for her, though? And I don't really have a lot of space to take stuff out. I think I need more creature removal and stuff than I have, or I need to be way faster. One of those two things. Let's just try and keep a fast hand, I think. But that's one reason why Brazen Borrower is so good, because while there are a lot of ways to cheat out stuff in Vintage Cube, like Tinker through the Breach, that sort of thing, unless it's Emrakul, you can still return it to your opponent's hand, and frequently that's going to be good, because a lot of those ways to cheat stuff out are completely one-shot. Like, there's no way to reload them. Alright, I would like to play first. I mean, I can play a lot of artifacts with this hand. I just have no payoff. Sure. So we'll start Workshop Blue Signet. Pass the turn. When it plays a Blooming Marsh, we untap and draw Plains. So, play a Plains. Play Signet. Do I just clone a Signet? I kind of feel like I do. We'll make an additional Blue Signet. Opponent plays a Verdant Catacombs. Passes. We draw Inkwell Leviathan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We just hard cast Inkwell Leviathan this turn? Now it makes it look like I knew what the hell I was doing. We're gonna get mana leaked and it's gonna be horrible. Get him. The old Force of Will pitching Looter Eel Core. I mean, that was a turn 3 hard cast Inkwell. It's pretty good. Opponent not worried about blue mana at all. They Maelstrom Pulse. Okay, that's bad, because Ulamog can't be paid for with Mishra's Workshop. Play an island, and we lost all of our blue mana in that exchange. Maelstrom Pulse was a really good card to have there. Gonti. That could be extremely problematic, depending on what my opponent nabs. Next turn I have 6 mana. for non-artifact things, and 9 mana for artifact-related things. But if I play Sundering Titan, I, like, lose all of my lands. Okay, we draw a swamp. Play a swamp. Not sure if there's a reason to be hiding Scrubland from, like, potentially a Wasteland when we have Mishra's Workshop and Ancient Tomb, but I'm still going to play that way. Opponent hits this for 2 with Death Touch. They have 1 card exiled with Gonti. They play a Forest. We draw a Lotus Petal. Play Scrubland. Pass the turn. Opponent hits this for 2. We go to 14. They play Bloodstained Mire. We untap and draw a Lodestone Golem. So play Lodestone Golem. It's not really going to tax my opponent's mana that much, considering they have like 6 mana. Pass the turn. I could play out Lotus Petal, but honestly, I think I would rather hold it in hand. Opponent goes to combat. They're debating about whether they attack or not, and they don't. Okay. We untap. We draw a Vindicate. Well, that can open up a lane to actually just attack them and put pressure on them. So I guess we try and do that. Go to combat. Hit them for 5. It's likely that my opponent, like, stole Blightsteel or Tinker or something from me. They play Darkslick Shores tapped. It'd be really interesting if this whole time they were just stuck without blue mana and that was the issue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We are 1 mana away from Ulamog. Go to combat. Hit them for 5. Well, actually, no, we're not, because we have Lodestone Golem. So Dark Ritual actually costs 2 instead of 1. Still making it a good card, but nowhere near as good as it could be. Opponent plays a Creeping Tar Pit, 3 mana, 4 mana, for a Trigon Predator. Alright. We untap, we draw Plains, go to combat, hit our opponent for 5, they go to 3, play a Plains, pass the turn. So opponent will probably hit us with Trigon Predator, kill Lodestone. Yep. Okay, that unlocks our mana. They crack Bloodstained Mire going to 2, get a Swamp, then they Treasure Cruise. That's pretty good. It's not quite Recall, but it's good. Alright, we untap. We draw Baleful Strix. So I could play Baleful Strix, but I've got enough mana to cast Ulamog, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have enough mana to cast Ulamog exactly. What are the odds my opponent has a counterspell, though? I could play Baleful Strix and try and draw something else. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, Flooded Strand's not really what I wanted, but we can at least play around Daze that way. Opponent casts Opposition Agent. Alright, and the Impulse. Should have just gone for the Ulamog. Oh, I'm losing a mana by doing this, because I get hit with... No, never mind, I can block Trigon Predator. What am I thinking? That was the whole reason I did that. That's what I get for playing Magic without fully absorbing caffeine in the morning. No! I need these cards! Well, Ulamog shuffles everything back in. And they have removal. I should have just gone for the Ulamog. I don't know what I was thinking. Alright, opponent hits us for 5. Oh no. Ninjutsu? Oh, we're dead. Opponent hits anything and we die. They have to hit, like, Metalwork or land. Sundering Titan? You dare use my own Sundering Titan against me? And our best removal spell. This is my luck with Vintage Cube. And this is why you never, ever let Shinobi hit you if you can. Like, you gotta kill this card as soon as possible because it's so incredibly absurd. Yep. Alright, you got me. With my own Sundering Titan. Consider that a great sign of disrespect. Alright, I'll see you guys in round 2. That was something. Alright, well, it's not like a fast Tinker hand, but we do get to play turn 2 Lodestone Golem, turn 3 copy Lodestone Golem. That's gotta be good, right? Opponent starts Celestial Colonnade. We get a Grim Monolith. So play Ancient Tomb, play Signet. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. It's like tap out for a looter. It's totally safe, go for it. Opponent plays a Forest. We untap. Draw Winds of Abandon. Play Seachrome Coast. They like 100% have a counterspell. But play Lodestone Golem. Alright, they were F6'd. Fantastic. So whatever they are doing is now a turn later than usual. They play a Mana Vault into a Rex Sage? Oh, man. Okay. We untap. We draw Baleful Strix. We play a Swamp. Play Baleful Strix. We draw a Swamp. I can Metamorph, I could blow up their mana vault by stealing their Rec Sage. I could make a copy of Baleful Strix to draw an additional card, which actually sounds kind of tempting. I'm using so much of my life total, though. But I need to draw something here. Alright, pass the turn. So if my opponent taps out, we can Winter Orb. We can play Grim Monolith, we can Winter Orb. Opponent plays a land. They go to combat, they attack us for 2. Block with the Metamorph. Now what do they do? If they tap out for a 4-mana threat that we can Winds of Abandon, we can Winds of Abandon, then Winter Orb. Yeah, that feels good. So untap, we draw a Signet. So play Scrubland, play Monolith, play Signet. Actually, no, we Winter Orb and Winds of Abandon here. Now my opponent is stuck untapping 1 land a turn. It probably doesn't matter too much because they only have like 2 cards in hand, but they untap, lose a life to Mana Vault. They play an island into a Tree Speaker. We untap. I'm going to untap Seachrome Coast to have access to blue mana. Alright, we draw an Izzet Signet. So play Izzet Signet, play a land, play Rakdos Signet, go to combat, hit them for 1 in the air. That Tree Speaker helps them get out from Winter Orb, though, quite a lot. So they level up Tree Speaker, they have 2 green mana now, and they play a Forest. So next turn they can pay to untap Mana Vault. I'm going to untap Scrubland. We draw an Underground Sea, play Underground Sea, go to combat, hit our opponent for 3. I'd really like to draw a Smokestack, honestly, because we could start sacking lands we don't need. They don't pay for Mana Vault. They have 4 mana now. 5 mana. They go to combat. They do not attack. I will untap Ancient Tomb. I have access to all the colors I need, so I would rather just have enough raw mana I could cast anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One more turn, we cast Ulamog. That's great. Go to combat. Hit them for 1. Opponent goes to 12. They still don't pay for Mana Vault, so they take a damage from it. Don't Woodfall Primus me, bro. Green Sun Zenith X5. Acidic Slime, Winter Orb. Okay. Well, thankfully they didn't hit any of the mana artifacts. We untap, draw a swamp, play a swamp. Actually, let's do this. Cast Ulamog. Kill... I think it's either Colonnade or the Tree Speaker. I'm gonna go with Colonnade just so they can't start, like, sneaking damage over the top to get the fixing they need or something. Alright, pass the turn. Yeah, might as well attack with Strix once so that a single hit from Ulamog is lethal. Okay, opponent untaps. Still doesn't pay for Mana Vault. And they scoop. Alright. So versus the green deck, I actually think I do want Oust and possibly like Hero's Downfall. I think maybe Shriekmaw. Hero's Downfall seems like it might be hard to cast. So bring in those 2. I'm going to cut... What do I cut? I think it's like Forge Master. Because even though the Tinker effect is powerful, it's... no, the Tinker effect's too powerful. I'll bring in an Oust over an Inquisition. And we'll try it like that. Alright, well, I mean, turn 1 Metalworker, I think is just about turn 2 Sundering Titan, so we'll keep. We do have access to Oust if we want it. Opponent starts Tree Speaker. I would consider ousting that. But, start Metalworker. This is pretty much a you must answer this or I will cast something very scary next turn play. But it plays an island, levels up Tree Speaker, into a Simic Signet. Alright, we untap. We draw Underground Sea, so reveal a lot of artifacts. Play Seachrome Coast, start by ousting. Then we can play Rakdos Signet, Izzet Signet, Sundering Titan, take out both of your lands, pass the turn. So now they have to redraw their Tree Speaker, and we just got rid of all of that. That's super nasty. But like that's what makes Metalworker good. Is the workshop. So Metalworker, if you're playing the Artifact Acceleration deck, you don't want to accelerate into Metalworker, because if you do that, you don't have artifacts in your hand to tap Metalworker to get. It's really Mishra's Workshop or like Ancient Tomb and another land that you want to play Metalworker out. Obviously, Workshop is better. That was crazy, and I think I could have gotten away with playing a Winter Orb instead of that last Signet. That would have been hilarious. But Oust was super worth it, and if your opponent is redrawing, especially Uraga Tree Speaker, where they not only have to pay it, they have to play it, and then they have to pay 2 to get it to be mana neutral for its ability. Then you make them redo that. It's effectively like a 1 mana Time Walk. It denies them a draw, they have to recast, repay, and it denies all of their acceleration, sets their game plan back a lot. It's super good. And I mean, following it up with double Stone Rain off of Sundering Titan is just crazy. We'll see you guys in round 3. Alrighty, round 3, we will be on the draw. We have ramp, but really no payoff. It's just hard to put back a hand with Workshop and 2 Signets. And a Metamorph. I'm going to keep this. If my opponent starts by doing something crazy, I can Workshop and clone it with Metamorph. Opponent starts Forest. Always Tree Speaker. Always Tree Speaker. So we untap. We draw Mox Ruby. So play Mishra's Workshop. Play Rakdos Signet. Play Mox Ruby. Activate Rakdos Signet. Play Izzet Signet. Man, if that was a Dimir Signet, I could end with Baleful Strix and that'd be amazing. But we're only untapping with like 6-7 mana next turn. You know, like you do. So you thought your ramp was powerful, opponent. Opponent levels up Tree Speaker into a Rofellos. That's pretty respectable as far as ramp goes. That's going to be a ton of mana. We untap. We draw a Swamp. Let's see. Play the Swamp. Play Baleful Strix. Draw an Island. I don't think I want to Metamorph just a clone. Maybe I do. I think I would rather have my opponent play like a crazy big threat and then us clone that than just get it using Metamorph for another cantrip here. Opponent does have an absurd amount of mana. The real concern is that they hardcast something like Emrakul that even if I clone, I just lose. Because they get to attack with it first. 8 mana. Woodfall Primus. There goes Mishra's Workshop. Probably. They could take out the blue mana source, but I think taking out Workshop is probably better. They're having to think about it. They could go for just a regular colored mana source if they don't know how good our mana is, but presumably it's decent with cards like these. Alright, we untap. We draw Thoughtseize. So lead on Thoughtseize. Opponent has Uro, Channel, Oracle of Moldiah. They can't play Uro. Channel is scary, but I think we take Oracle of Moldiah because that's going to get our opponents deepest into their deck. Then we play an Island. Hardcast a Metamorph. Copying Primus. Blowing up a Forest. Yeah, they can channel for like an Eldrazi Titan. We're probably just dead if that happens. I could have taken Channel, but I really think my opponent having Oracle of Moldiah and actually getting to dig through their deck faster is worse than the opportunity cost of potentially drawing a Titan. So they can play Uro and they can cantrip now, because they did top deck an Island. It looks like that's exactly what they're doing. They play Uro. They sack Uro, they gain life, draw a card. No land to put on the battlefield. So if my opponent attacks with Woodfall Primus, we're blocking with our Woodfall Primus. Oh no. Okay. Is it Channel? Am I getting channeled? I'll feel really silly if that happens. Okay, they're just leveling up twice. That's reasonable. We untap, draw Lodestone Golem, go to combat, attack for 6. I think we have to attack with Woodfall Primus if we want to recopy Woodfall Primus, because otherwise, like, active player, non-active player triggers. So the active player triggers go on the stack first, then the non-active player triggers. So if I blocked Woodfall Primus with our Woodfall Primus, ours would persist first, and I'd have to clone something else already on board. And obviously I would like to copy Woodfall Primus if possible. Play Lodestone Golem, Play a Flooded Strand, just because it's sort of protected from Woodfall Primus. Lodestone Golem does effectively nothing to slow my opponent down, even in the slightest. Just want to get their life total low enough they can't channel Emrakul. Alright, opponent's tapping a lot for a Glen Alondra Archmage. Leveling up Tree Speaker again. They pass. We untap. We draw Metalworker. Go to combat. Attack for 6. Alright, opponent takes 6. Channel becoming less and less useful. Although they don't need to bridge the gap quite as far because of how much mana they actually have. Play Metalworker. Play a Swamp. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. I'm doing a big think. Watch them just like Finale of Devastation, X10, get Craterhoof, hit me for like 400,000 damage. There's Channel. It's happening. Alright, what are they casting? And why is it huge? There's Hoof! Can I possibly block enough to survive? There's 28 damage. I do not have 10 toughness, so I am dead. Yep, alright. That's lethal. You got me, opponent. The old Channel on turn 6 for not an Eldrazi Titan. If I had Woodfall Primus back to block, I could actually survive that, I think, but... Alright, versus my opponent, I'm going to bring in Oust over Inquisition, and I probably should bring in some actual more removal, but I'm not gonna run it back. Alright, we'll play first. This is not a keepable hand. This might be... Oh... Like, if my opponent plays a Mana Dork and we draw, like, Mox or something, I could then clone their Mana Dork and Mind Twist the rest of their hand and they would be dead in the water. I'm gonna try keeping this and putting back Forge Master. I hope I don't get, like, turn 2 channeled or something. But if I could draw, like, Ancient Tomb off the top, that would be amazing. I'm gonna lead on Island, because islands are scary. Opponent did mulligan to 6. They play a Forest. They play an Arbor Elf. We untap. Draw an Oust. Okay. Oust the Dork. Pass the turn. Opponent's going to have to redraw that Mana Dork. They play a Forest. We untap. We draw a Flooded Strand. Play a Swamp. Pass the turn. Opponent draws Arbor Elf. Plays a Forest. Plays Arbor Elf. We untap. Draw an Island. I can Mind Twist them down to 1. That's got to be good enough, I think. Acidic Slime, Primetime, and Mindslaver. Alright. Opponent plays a Llanowar Elves. Hits us for 1. We take 1, go to 19. Untap. Draw Sundering Titan. Let's see. Play Flooded Strand. I'm going to play Smokestack to just kind of put some fear into my opponent. I don't think I'm actually going to tick it up. Opponent untaps and draws. Then go to combat. Attack us for 2. Yo, family group chat is just like going crazy. They hit us for 2. We go down to 17. I don't really want to draw more lands, so I'm going to crack Flooded Strand here. We'll get a Scrub land, so we have 2 white sources, just in case. Untap. So Smokestack, I'm not going to put a counter on Smokestack. Draw Tinker. Alright, yeah. Let's see. I can either Tinker out Smokestack now. Yeah, I'm just going to do that, because I don't know how my opponent possibly answers a Blightsteel Colossus. Unless they, like, Manamorphose into Opposition Agent. Like, Alright, Blightsteel. Slowest Tinker North America. Pass the turn. Hey, we can Phrexia Metamorph Blightsteel next turn to just guarantee they die. Yeah, Mind Twist absolutely won us this game. Nice. Alright. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna run it back. We've not had too many crazy starts into a payoff. We've had a couple that were just like super ramp and then nothing because we have like no tutors and no card draw. I should have taken that Imperial Seal. Would have made this deck a lot better, I think. This hand is slightly better than it looks. It's not great, but I can Dark Ritual into Solemn Simulacrum, and I can play a Winter Orb. We're leading on Thoughtseize, and we'll play Baleful Strix, so hopefully that's enough to disrupt whatever our opponent's doing. One of our best top decks could be like Mishra's Workshop, too, so... Opponent starts on nothing. Alright. Seachrome Coast. So we play a Swamp. Thoughtseize. Green Sun Zenith, Channel, Craterhoof, Glen Alondra. Take Channel. Pass the turn. So they can Green Sun X1 for a Dork, which they might have to do just to like get back on track, but they were really banking on Channel with this hand. I don't think my opponent's hand is very good, actually. Because, like, even if they got to a third forest and channeled Green Sun, like, they're holding their 8 and 9 drops. They could go get Woodfall Primus, but... Yep. Green Sun X1 for a Llanowar Elf. They have 4 cards left in their hand. If I draw a Mind Twist, I think it's game over. There's an Oust. Oh, opponent! Oh, I regret to inform you that you're redrawing that Llanowar Elf. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They draw a card. They play an island. They play Findhorn Elves. So these are the 3 cards actually in their hand right now. We untap. Draw a Flooded Strand. I could play Baleful Strix. I can Ritual from 3 to 5 if I want to, but that doesn't make any sense. So let's lead on Baleful Strix. We get an Ancient Tomb. I can Ancient Tomb out Winter Orb. I kind of lock my own mana doing that, but it makes my opponent hesitate about playing Glenalandra, so I'm going to. Play out Winter Orb. Opponent untaps. So they drew Arbor Elf this turn. They can either play Glenalandra or they can play Arbor Elf. Or not Arbor Elf, Llanowar Elves. Excuse me. They play Llanowar Elves. We untap Ancient Tomb. Draw. Island. I think I'm going to play out Solemn, which involves using everything, but at the same time, it makes Glenalandra Archmage a lot worse. Get a second white source. Dark Ritual. Activate Ancient Tomb. Play Solemn. Get an island, I guess. Alright, go to combat. Hit my opponent for 1. Opponent untaps. Has 1 unknown card in hand. They play Glenalandra. We untap Ancient Tomb. Because if we draw Tinker, I think it's game over. We draw Phrexia Metamorph. Play an island. Go to combat. I could clone Solemn. I don't think I'm going to do that, though. Alright, no blocks for the opponent. Maybe I will clone Solemn. I could also clone Glenalandra. That is potentially very good. I'm going to do that. Because that way, post next turn, we can just counter any natural orders or things like that. Opponent untaps their island so that they have Glenalandra activation. They play a forest. Their hand is Terastodon, Craterhoof, 1 unknown. Okay. Their hand is Terastodon, Craterhoof. We untap Ancient Tomb. We draw. Underground Sea. Play an island. Go to combat. Attack here and here. I don't mind if Solemn dies because that gets us a redraw. So opponent doesn't block. Okay. Pass the turn. I mean, opponent can just start attacking. That's pretty reasonable. They untap a forest. They go to combat, attack us for 2. No blocks. Untap Seachrome Coast. We draw Mishra's Workshop. Play Workshop. Go to combat. Attack for 2. No blocks. Pass the turn. Man, what I wouldn't give to draw Sundering Titan. Because they have the Dryad of the Elysian Grove. They do have 6 mana, so we do have to worry about Craterhoof soon. 7 mana. And I'm pretty sure we're just dead to Craterhoof. So, opponent goes to combat, passes. Sundering Titan 1 time. Winds of Abandon. This is also very good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Although that does give them enough mana that they can untap in the next few turns. Actually, this doesn't even work, because they just counter it with Glenalandra. Is there anything I can do about this? Not really. Alright. Pass the turn. I think we're dead to just Landhoof. Trigon Predator. Okay. Opponent passes. We untap a swamp. And draw Kuldaltha Forge Master. That is definitely a way to win the game. Play Forge Master. If we untap, we can just go get Sundering Titan, kill all of their lands, and then overload Winds of Abandon. But if they draw a single untapped mana that they can use this turn, we lose. We have 2 different creatures that can chump Trigon Predator. Do they have an actual counterspell? They have Mana Drain. Okay, that's a problem. But we have Glenalandra Archmage. Yeah. So counter it. Glenalandra persists, and we get to clone something that isn't Dryad of the Elysian Grove. I'm gonna clone Baleful Strix. Never mind, I'm not gonna do that because it only has 1 power and toughness. I needed to clone Simulacrum. We draw a Smokestack, which I'm not gonna cast. This does mean my opponent can't Crater Hoof next turn because they did spend mana to do that. Alright, pass the turn. Opponent untaps a forest. Opponent goes to combat. Attacks with Galenalandra and Trigon Predator. So we gotta block Trigon Predator. Otherwise we are in deep trouble. Okay, we go down to 5. Opponent is now casting something else. Natural Order, but they're holding Hoof and Terastodon. I imagine this is a... Oh, they're playing around Sundering Titan, so that's no longer a good play. So they're probably getting Woodfall Primus to destroy Winter Orb unless they're holding Woodfall Primus, which they're not, because they're holding Terastodon, Crater Hoof. They could get, like, Primeval Titan, Acidic Slime, killing Forge Master. Okay. That sucks. We untap Mishra's Workshop. Draw Inkwell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's not going to be good enough. I'm going to have to play Smokestack here, which is far less than ideal. I need to be able to Winds of Abandon, but now I'm locked under my own Winter Orb because my life total is too low. Alright, pass the turn. They sack nothing. They play a forest. Pretty sure they just swing all out. They attack with only Glen. Okay. So no blocks. We take 2. We untap. Yeah, I guess it's Workshop. We won't be able to cast Winds of Abandon this turn. Put a Soot counter on Smokestack. Sack Simulacrum. I'm gonna try and draw a card here. Not sure what I could draw to get me out of this. And technically that's not correct, because I need Simulacrum to actually block. I should have stacked the triggers differently. We get a Grim Monolith. Does that change anything? I play a Swamp. I can use Mishra's Workshop as actual mana now. I don't have double white to overload Winds of Abandon. If I'd untapped here instead of Workshop, I would have had exactly enough mana to overload Winds of Abandon, so that was absolutely a mistake. Yeah, because then I could use Ancient Tomb, play Grim Monolith, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, overload Winds of Abandon. And that would absolutely have gotten my opponent, because there's no way they could beat Smokestack. I don't have any blue mana, so like casting Inkwell is out. That was a last-minute punt by me, so... Alright, my apologies. We should have gone 2-1, but... Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this iteration of Vintage Cube. If you did, please leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined, and remember you can follow me on Twitch. Same username over there as you find me on here. I stream Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, though the last few have been earlier. And I hope to see you there. If you want to hang out with me and other people that show up in the comments below or in the Twitch live chat, you can join the Discord. The link is in the description below. And I'll see you guys next time, hopefully. You're all wonderful human beings, and thank you for watching. Bye!